thanks for joining me on the Artfest Ontario audio chat. I'm here with artist and designer Miko Henry from Little Tree and Me. So welcome. How are you? How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Thanks, Lory. How are you?
Good. Looking forward to this chat. I love your products for children, and they're so cute.
Thank you.
I really like your business name, too, Little Tree and Me, and I was wondering, where does that name come from?
Well, it was inspired actually by my husband's grandmother, who could not pronounce my daughter's name. Her name is Sequoia, and she had a hard time enunciating, for whatever reason, the syllables in her name, so she always coined her Little Tree. And so my business, was born shortly after she was, and so I named it after her. So it's Little Tree and Me.
No,
my daughter Sequoia and myself.
Yeah, thanks. So I know you have quite a few products, but I really like your dolls are so cute, and I noticed that they have great expressions on their faces, and they kind of have their own little personalities. How does that happen? How does that happen when you're making a doll?
Well, that's a good question, because the dolls are probably my preferred thing to make, for that very reason, that each one of them is their own unique character. I try not to ever duplicate them unless somebody specifically asks for one, then I'll do it. But other than that, it's all about kind of instilling an individual personality in each one. And I kind of get inspired by the fabrics, by, characters that my daughter imagines that I try to transform into a doll, or that there's also people in history like Frida Kahlo, who I'm a huge fan of, who I just felt drawn to making a replica doll of her, and then various other, just inspired by reality too, by people that I know who I kind of turn into a doll. Or so there's lots of kind of places that I draw my creative inspiration from when it comes to the dolls.
Yeah, and I see like the faces. Are they embroidered on or painted, or how are they applied for the faces?
I embroider the dolls that are intended for children. I do by hand with embroidery thread, and then I use chalk for the cheeks, and then with the art dolls, I do the embroidery with a machine.
Okay.
Yeah, and as far as the expressions go, like initially I was making them all happy. Every one of them had a happy face on it, right? But then I kind of felt that in some ways, when a child or some adults buy my dolls too, it was kind of conditioning the expression or whatever, that it would kind of control the play somewhat. Whereas if I made the expression more neutral, then they could kind of be whatever mood the kid wanted them to be. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of a kind of a Waldorf mentality where you don't instill the play, but the kid decides and navigates, who they want the doll to be. So that was part of the expression on them anyway.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So would you do you have a favorite?
Frida. For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I have a little bit of an obsession with Frida. And for me, art is very therapeutic as well. And so Frida Kahlo, to me, her art speaks really profoundly to life experience and to pain and overcoming difficulty in life. And she's just, so to me, when I make one of the Frida dolls, it's kind of like it's a form of therapy for me. I know it sounds kind of weird, but sometimes I'm not that strong at articulating myself with words. So when I use my hands and when I use people that I respect and as a form of inspiration, I find it helps me.
Yeah, well, she's a big hero to many, many people. So I think that she's a good inspiration for sure. Yeah. So I also noticed, the dolls are really well made and they look really durable. And it looks like the way you design the head and the body parts is original, and it's brilliant, really, because the pieces are all kind of integrated into one. And how did that process evolve?
Well, when I first started making them, I got a general pattern, right? I got this book, I think it's called We Make Dolls, and it was all different doll makers around the world. And I kind of just honed in on one doll that I kind of liked the basic composition of it. It was a Little Red Riding Hood doll. And from there, I took that basic template and I made my own variations on it. So I would change the type of hood, I would change, and to now it's a completely different doll, right? But where it kind of started with a basic pattern, as I do with most of my art, I'll start with something where I get inspired by oftentimes somebody else's art, and then I take a quotient of it to provide me with some ideas, and then I make it my own. You know, I change it completely, so then it just becomes my own expression. You know, but oftentimes, I draw. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like with the way the heads are, the heads and the hair and the hat and everything all are integrated together. I think it's a really great design, especially when you're dealing with kids too, because it's safe, right? You don't have to worry about parts falling off or losing.
Exactly.
Yes, and I know making dolls is a huge amount of work and a labor of love. And I was just wondering, you know, how do you keep your material costs down? I know you have to work some way to keep your costs down because your labor is so involved.
Yeah. So what I've done is progressively gone more and more into upcycling fabrics. So I'm minimalist at heart, but I also love to thrift. I love to thrift. I love to go to yard sales. I love to create treasure from people's trash, essentially, right? So I will go out and salvage what I can. I find beautiful fabrics for low cost that have already been used, and I combine them sometimes with new fabrics that I am drawn to the print, and I use small parts of it versus using a whole, you know, yardage of new fabric. I'll use just, you know, a fat quarter, and then I'll combine it with a bunch of different upcycled fabrics. And so that's one thing I try to get as much as possible. Vintage buttons, I even upcycle my stuffing, so I'll take old pillows and I wash them and I use it again, just as a way of being more ethical about it, reducing waste, and also reusing beautiful fabrics that otherwise would just, you know, end up in the dump. So
yeah, because that's a big thing right now in people's minds too. Because, you know, I remember reading an article a while ago, and it just, you know, commented on how many thousands of tons of used clothing go to the dump. And you don't ever think about that, right? It's like, wow, that's a lot.
It's
a lot of it's a lot of it's a nice piece of it too, you know, because sometimes I guess do customers ever ask you to say, oh, I have this favorite dress, can you incorporate it into my doll that I had, like you're making for me an order?
Yeah, and I love doing that. Like the whole concept of there's these two women I'm thinking in particular that have kind of been repeat customers of mine who I adore because of their enthusiasm for my dolls and also their love of the vintage fabric. So they've taken me their grandma's old fabric and asked me to, you know, create a doll however I see fit. I don't control the creative process, but they want fabric that has some sort of, you know, nostalgic
memory
link to their past.
It's a great thing.
For sure.
Yeah, really special. Yeah. So you mentioned you have a spring special on right now for customers, and can you tell me a little bit about that? So when they do buy a doll, they buy.
Well, for the spring, I've started to make a line of Mama and Me dolls where they're a little bit larger than the ones I started making, the standard size, and they have a pocket in the front that carries a little baby with them. And so I'm offering for the first 3 purchases, you get a free baby thrown in, and you can you can pick and choose from the different fabrics that I have, and I'll custom make you a baby doll.
Well, that's a nice add-on for sure. Customers will love that. Yeah. So also, you would tell me a little bit about the clothing line that you've designed. I know that you're multi-talented, and I know buying designer clothing for kids might seem a bit extravagant for some, but I see that your clothing actually grows with your child.
Yeah,
that's an amazing feature to know if I'm going to buy something for my grandchild or my daughter.
Right.
Or that it can last for a long time.
Yeah, and that was kind of a part of it going into it was I come at it from an artistic as well as from a perspective of a mother, right? So practically to invest in handmade clothing, which can be quite expensive, and your kids are growing at such a rate that it's going to, you know, the turnover is going to be okay, they're going to wear it for 1 year. So I had to find a way, and they're really rough with clothes, hence the reversible thing, right? So I was thinking if they trash one side of it, you take the buttons off and you flip it to the other side, right? Or if you get bored of one side, you turn it over and you got something else. And a way that it can start off as a dress, and then as they get older, it becomes a shirt. And it can be worn all seasons. You can put shirts underneath it in the colder weather. And it's like a smock, right? And then when it's the nicer weather, it can just be worn as is. And the same with the capes. They start off long, you know, around the calf length, and then as they grow older, it's at their waist. So it's something that'll last for years versus months.
Yeah, and always stylish, which is important.
Yeah, well,
right? Yeah, so I guess that comes in when you're talking about with all your clothing being reversible, which I think is so neat. Like, it's so versatile. So wear it once, gets dirty, flip it over, wear it again.
Yeah.
Kind of like you get basically two outfits in one because you can change the patterns are different on each side. Isn't that true? The patterns are different.
Yeah.
And how do you come up with the different designs? Like one side, and then the other side.
What I get inspired kind of like, I call it my feature fabric, is the one that'll go oftentimes in the center of the dress or the cape. And then so what I would do is that there's a squirrel on it, and then I would take that squirrel, I would do a drawing and then carve out of acetate that squirrel and using screen printing ink and a screen, do a block print of it. And so that would be one side with broadcloth and the screen print, and then when you flip it over, you've got a fabric that has the pattern that emulates that screen print. Some of them have that, and other ones are just combinations of different panels on that are different on the reverse.
Okay, so you have you have all your drawing skills in there too. I know, and I mean screen printing is a whole other process.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty involved, and that's it. I've started to kind of experiment with different printing processes. I don't like to use the chemicals, so I'm trying some lino cut printing now, and just trying to find different ways to invest some artistry in the clothing, so they're not just, they can't be copied. It's something that's literally from my hand and one of a kind, so therefore no other kid will have it, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's pretty special. I mean, and when you're printing, you're using like an acrylic, like a fabric paint, right? That's actually bedded right into on the surface of the fabric, so that you can wash it and it's durable and safe. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So you also have clothing for adults. I love it.
I do. Yeah, this is brand new. This has come from just mom shopping and asking, I would wear this. Like if this was in my size, I would totally. And I was like, you know what? I started making it for my friends and I, and then I thought, why not? To make it a lot of times. Certain mothers like to match their kids, so you can have like a coordinated outfit with your child, or if that's not your thing, you can just, or even if you're not a mother, it's not necessarily just for that demographic. It can be for any woman that wants to wear kind of clothing that's not fitted, it's loose, it's comfortable, it's kind of, one size fits all, and it has the component of reversibility and just being one of a kind. And and the same as the children's, where you can wear it in cold weather or you can wear it when it's hot out, kind of thing. And
I mean, they look super comfortable and really wearable. I guess, they're not really designed to kind of grow with us like people like kids. We don't want to
not
grow
so
out
much.
No. But still,
yeah.
the versatility of it. You can wear it like with a tunic with underneath, and in summer it looks really comfy too. I mean, you look great in them. I saw your pictures. It's so cute, like with you and your daughter.
Thank you.
I know when I was a kid, my mom made us a mother-daughter outfit one time. Oh my God, I loved it. I was like on the moon. And then every time I wanted to wear it with her, she was like, mine's dirty. And I was like, how come I didn't even see you wear it? But she said that she felt kind of embarrassed the way it opened. Yeah. Like we like a little Aussie twins, right? But, I know there's ways to coordinate it with each other that would be really sweet. So, that's great. So, these items are new, so they come in a variety of sizes for women. I guess, is it mainly women's? Is it, you don't have things for men, do you? Or
not so much, no.
Not yet.
Yeah. I haven't quite found the niche when it comes to, I've kind of tried to promote the clothes for boys as well. I certainly make, gender neutral colors for the most part, but for whatever reason, it seems to be a lot easier to sell to girls.
Yeah, because we always want to look fabulous. That's why.
I guess, right? I'm not sure. Yeah.
So in your career, so what is the craziest outfit you've ever made? Just out of fun or whatever. I
was in a wearable fashion show where I made a dress inspired by peacocks, where it was like it was a ballet style dress, so like the tutu flared out, and then I attached full length peacock feathers to the skirt, and then I wore on my back, I was the model for it, I wore on my back a wire caged kind of almost like wingspan, right? And I attached all the feathers to that, and then I had a peacock feather headdress. So that would probably be the most
out there
that comes to mind.
Yeah, that must have been quite a bit of work.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds amazing though. Is that your background? Like, do you have a background in design and fashion and
visual art?
Passionate about.
Yeah, no, I studied visual arts at the University of Ottawa, so my background was more in painting and sculpture and in things that I soon found out weren't so practical or easy to access as far as making a living from it. So I had to find a way to stay true to wanting to be an artist, but at the same time make a product that was practical to promote to the outside world. It's a lot easier to market clothing than it is sculpture.
And a peacock dress.
Right? Yeah. So I maintain those practices in my life, but as far as putting myself out there, it's with the dolls and the clothes that I
yeah, well, I'm glad you did, because your product is just amazing. We just love it at Artfest, and we really appreciate you being part of our Artfest family and being in our shows. I mean, I know we're not, able to be in there in person today, this weekend coming up, but I'm really happy to be participating in our online event, which I'm hoping that lots of people are going to be part of. And people can find your website at what is your website again?
It's www.littletreeandme.com. So it's LIL tree and me.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and sharing your insights and on everything about Little Tree and Me. And look forward to seeing you again in person, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nico. Take care.
Thank you. All right.
Bye.
Bye.